Hello and welcome to another edition of Inside the Lines. I'm your host, Mackenzie Brooks. No, I'm just kidding. I'm taking over from Mackenzie the last couple of days. She's busy having fun in Chicago. Let's get started with our picks.
Yeah. Hey, I thought you did a great job, Jacob. Good change of pace for your normal performance. Just kidding.
Exactly.
It's good to see you. Yeah, last night it wasn't a great for a bad day. It was a good day. You know, I had a couple easy cruising picks. Like Caruso hit 5 more threes, I believe. Our UNLV San Diego State call was good because we downgraded the A value on UNLV to win outright. They were up big in the first half. They cut it back to overtime, and then up losing in San Diego. But you pointed out that San Diego State never loses the first round of the tournament, and they didn't. But we did get the spread
straight.
pick.
Yeah, 17 straight now. So maybe.
But I'm glad we have college baseball today, so you can carry my ass for today.
and Josh Carr had like the first assist of the game, and I think he finished with 1, right?
Yeah, he got 15 rebounds. He was just all focused on being Dennis Rodman.
7 points, 15 rebounds, or 3 assists. So yeah, so he did hit his over rebounds and assists just because he's a beast at rebounding. But
yeah,
other than that, it was interesting because they closed at plus 3,000 his triple double. We got it plus 2,500.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's okay. Hey, did you want to start college basketball in case some games are coming up sooner than later?
Yeah, I think I have a 5:30 game, so let's start with college basketball.
You tell me where to go.
Yeah, let me add. So let's go game by game. I know one of my plays is Kentucky minus 5.5, and against Texas A&M.
Yeah.
I kind of sprayed the board today. Figured it's Friday, might as well just go all out. I just think Kentucky's the better team. They have a full day of rest now, which is why I kind of like Tennessee. But we just watched a Tennessee game against Mississippi State. Mississippi State, from the start of the game, just obliterated them. This game's interesting because it's a lot more important for Texas A&M because they're on the bubble. I think if they lose, they're probably in the 11th seed playing game. If they win, they're for sure in. So it's a pretty big game for Texas A&M. I just think Kentucky's the better team. I think Kentucky's playing like a top 5 basketball in the last month compared to where they were at the beginning. I think their defense is starting to settle. I think at one point they were at 115th defensive efficiency in Ken Palm, and now they're in the top 100. So still have a lot of room to grow before the tournament, but that's a little encouraging.
Yeah, I guess they cost Jerry Stackhouse his job as a Vandy coach. They held him to 22% 3-point shooting, then 33 at Tennessee. So it looks like they're at least buckling down 18% by Auburn against them. So it looks like their 3-point defense is locked in a little bit.
I think what we learned is these NBA stars do not make good college basketball coaches. Jerry Stackhouse, Juwan Howard both got fired.
I read about Jerry Stackhouse. I think he was in 8th grade when I've had one of the few basketball scouting, high school recruiting magazines. And at the time, everyone compared him to Larry Johnson because Larry Johnson was a 6'7" beast. And for his time, Stackhouse was a guard by the time he reached the NBA. But back when he was in middle school and high school, he was pretty jacked because he was built the same when he was 15-year-old as he was when he was 25. But I digress.
So I also went with a little parlay that included Kentucky on the money line.
Yep.
I went with Kentucky money line with NC Central, just a little.
Yeah. Just because we talked about the other day. They came through for us the other day, right? Yeah.
They came through for us the other day.
Are they considered the home team on this game?
Yeah, they're the favorite. They're playing against Delaware State.
Okay. Let me see if I can find them. NC Central, Delaware State. What am I looking at?
I don't see it on that page.
Yeah. Refresh this thing. There it is. Delaware State. I just saw it. All right.
There we go.
So we have 2.5 points value on the spread.
2.5 points on the spread. Both these teams are around 5.5 point favorites. So I played the money line parlayed, I think at plus 104 plus money. on DraftKings, but I'm sure in some other books you could probably get anywhere from like -110 to +110, depending on the book you have. That is a great name.
It's I'm pointing it out. Is that obviously he's got to be from New Orleans. Is that his nickname?
I didn't know. I know a lot of players in college basketball. But
Yeah.
that's my first time seeing his name, and I think
Yeah.
he's my new favorite player.
Yeah, that's awesome. He's been
How do you
scoring
pronounce that?
Po' boy king. I mean,
Po'
po'
boy? Is
boys,
it like po'
you know.
boy? Yeah, like the sandwich, shrimp po' boy.
Yeah, so yeah,
But
exactly. So I assume he's a New Orleans
he's
type
from
player.
North Carolina.
Uh,
He has to have like parents from
yeah,
Louisiana,
yeah,
but that's a great name. Started all
yep.
28 games. He's been on fire lately.
I
So
wonder what his prop line. Maybe I'll put another live bet on Po' Boy Kings over on points.
I think we have to put it on all NC Central bets with that name.
If he averages
That is
14.8 points, if the line's 14 and a half, and he's been scoring above that the last 3 games, 17, 18, or 2 games, he has a 34-point game against Delaware State. Isn't that who they're playing?
people can like shrimp in North
Yeah.
Carolina.
He had 34 against Delaware State. So maybe someone can look up Po' Boy King's point prop line for me. I will make that bet. All right. I think
that would be good if Prize Picks was still in Florida, but that I'm not sure if we could find a Po' Boy King prop, but I still like it.
yeah. Don't take any action
And
on it until then. Steam that lineup though. Wait till I get a chance.
and then I went with over in the UConn game. I just wanted some play in that game, and I think there's gonna be lots of points. I don't know. Steven,
Because the
you said
model
it went. We don't have a ton of value because it went from 146.5 consensus to 148.5, but there were some 147.5 floating around. I know FanDuel had it 147.5, and I think it was one of the Vegas books had it at 150. So you're getting 2.5 points of value on FanDuel at 147.5 compared to some of these other books with all the line moving.
Yeah, it's a little quirk here. St. John's away from home average total is 8 points higher, so they don't play much defense when they're not in their home court. They allow a lot. They allow 38% from three away from home versus 31 at home. So that's an interesting thing. And UConn actually shoots better away.
And then also Patino said the only way he's going to beat them is just by jacking up every other shot in the game. He said that, and then that he needs 5 players from UConn to get COVID. It's the only
I always like Patino. I mean, I love that. I mean, you're way too young, but when he went to the Knicks that first time, he kind of was the first one to really introduce 3-point shooting as a strategy in the NBA. He was ahead of his time when he went from Providence to the Knicks.
So, and then we are fading San Diego State again, but on the same exact price, +4.5, and we're on Utah State.
Yeah, didn't they? So I believe they split on each other's home courts, if I have that right. Utah State, but they did play more. The more recent matchup was at Utah State, which Utah State won. They didn't shoot they shot like crud from 3-point range, and they haven't exactly 26% last night, 24% the day before. So that's their Achilles heel, and that's why that's why we're leaning Utah State.
Yeah, there's another one we're going with the spread, even though we have money line value just to be a little safer. We're hoping to go 2-0 fading San Diego State here. Even though we really like the Mountain West as a whole. We talked about that a couple of times. And then Ohio Akron over 140.5. This is one where I'm just going with the road trends where both teams average over this mark on the road. But I think it's like 6 or 7 straight games for Ohio that have gone under. But
we have not had a lot of A-rated model values on Sportsline.com. So we track our picks for Sportsline.com behind the paywall picks based on the consensus lines, closing consensus lines. And we haven't had a lot of A-rated over-unders, but they are like 7-1 or 8-2 or something. So they've been good when they've had them. But anyway, so this would qualify right now as a A-rated over-under pick, and we like it over. Yeah.
But I think it's 7 straight unders for Ohio, but overall they're 7-6 on the over on the road, and they average 155 points on the road compared to 144 in their games at home. And Akron is
Higher
also
scoring games. Yeah,
slightly
away from home.
higher scoring games at 143 compared to 138. I think, and they played earlier, and it was 141 points between them. So that's the over. It's a lock.
Where's this tournament being played? I mean, I know this
that. I think
they're
it's
both from
Indiana,
Ohio, so,
maybe.
Yeah, so there shouldn't be any particular home crowd advantage considering where they're both from.
Yeah,
I think it's in Cleveland.
It's in Cleveland. Yeah.
So the Clevelanders prefer Ohio over Akron. I mean, or is it besides compared to Ohio State, no one gives a shit about either? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe they prefer Toledo.
Yeah.
Like Derek.
You didn't have the guts to take our the model darling Alabama against your Florida Gators.
Well, I should have, because I think the Gators are like 4-0 when I bet against them on Sportsline on APIC. So I think every time we've had the APIC against the Gators, the Gators have won straight up, and so I think we're 4-0. So I love doing that. I might as well go in there and put an A on Alabama right now. That's good.
Your own selfish game.
Exactly. And I have another play that's similar to this in baseball. Do we want to go to NBA real quick, and then I'll finish with college baseball?
Whatever you want to do. Yeah, let me rattle through this. I've been talking too much, and the last few days have not been going well, so I'm going to go through mine quickly, and then Derek's been answering a lot of questions in the chat. Phoenix, Charlotte. The one thing about that is we the model likes the over. Again, sticking a lot later in the day. Lost a lot of line value on this one. If we had done the show earlier, we would have gotten 216.5 as a line. Now it's up to 218.5 as a low. It's probably going to 219. Again, teams seem to be back to scoring at a little higher clip than they were post All-Star game. I'm just going simple. Average Suns road totals 232. Average Hornets home totals 224. There are some. I'm fading these trends 13 and 18 over, 18 and 13 under for Suns road games, but. I think that I'm going to go with just this fact of 2-point shooting. So the Charlotte, 2 of their last 3 have shot 67 and 65% from twos, and the Suns have been allowing pretty high scoring from 2-point range versus they've been good for most of the season. Charlotte also has allowed high 2-point efficiency, 70% to Detroit, 69 to Washington, and 69 to Orlando recently. I don't know if there's any in terms of player props. We're going to have a lot of overs in this because we like you over in the game.
So Brandon Miller looks like overvalued.
Yeah, but
he's a bad dust. He's on the
Mitch. This is the guy that, again, I should watch him more. But he was 9 for 10 the other night, 5 for 6 from 3. I didn't know if he had a reputation as a great 3-point shooter. I know he's an older rookie, but he's red hot.
He's EuroLeague MVP not too long ago. So usually those guys, especially when they're in the 30s, come ready to play. But it was an interesting situation when he went to OKC because his role was just very different. And so maybe this is an expanded role. He's looking really good.
Maybe he has some block value as well. He's been getting a lot of blocks, and considering his, when you both think of point guard, you don't think of high blocks. It's I don't know what the overline is, but the under is minus 1250. So
yeah, look at this. Oh boy, King. 14.5.
Okay, there you go.
That's it. Putting the life savings on Popoy King over 14.5 right here.
Yep, there you go. Miami, Detroit. Even though she's not here, I am going to say you can get. I put in a pick for McKenzie of Jalen Duren double. It's minus 145, which I think is a very good price for him. I kind of looking at his track record and his game log, and Cade Cunningham is. I guess he didn't play that fourth quarter because he did have some kind of leg injury. Maybe they didn't broadly, so. I saw minus 145 like an hour ago on DraftKings on Jalen Duren. If you look at his, he's pretty much maybe got a 25% chance of getting not 10 points, 25% chance of getting not 10 rebounds. So the chance of him getting, I think it's not that high. It's not. I think I would put him around 75% chance of getting a double-double with projected averages of 12.5 and nearly 11 rebounds. But I'll assume that McKenzie would approve. And this is another one that we hit the other day. Bam Adebayo, again, it was plus 120 a few hours ago. Even though the road average is lower, the trend overall is still solid, 16-12. I also think that Detroit overall is still a below average team. They allow the fifth most points in the league. So I'm hoping Bam has an average game, which is 4 assists, which shouldn't be that hard to do against a below average points allowed defense. And I also like that Miami, they haven't been playing well recently, but they've been playing balanced in terms of who is the ball handler and who, there isn't a true point guard dominating the ball. So Rozier was doing that, look like, but recently he's been 4 assists a game for the last 3 games. I don't think any Heat players had more than 4 assists in the last 2 games. So it's sort of, I think they're hopefully sharing that responsibility, which should be good for Bam. Hopefully he gets us in the first quarter like he did for Mackenzie when she had a plus 200 bet.
I know, yeah. The plus, I still like the plus money, even if we just want him to get his average.
Yeah, plus like money. If you're not going to get your average against a below average points allowed team, then when are you going to get your average? Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense. That's. I think that was Einstein's lesser known theory.
What's crazy about Detroit is that this is their first 2-game winning streak since the second and third games of the season, and that 14.5 is looking pretty good right now. Knock on wood, but that Mackenzie.
Yeah, but I'm not going to go with any Detroit players. I never have luck with Detroit players in terms of totals because you never know what's going to happen rotation wise. Who's going to get taught a lesson for not hustling by Monty Williams, and because early in the year I had also Thompson for over 6.5 rebounds. I think he had 6 rebounds in the first half and then didn't play in the second half. Played 2 minutes. Yeah. So, and he wasn't hurt. Bruce Brown, I'm going to go
4 turnovers though.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be taught a lesson. Can't have a young rookie, get shined. Monty Williams worked too hard to let young players, do ill without earning it. I hate that. I hate that grandfather mentality. Bruce Brown over 1.5 blocks and steals at plus money. This was at plus 105, so I've actually gotten more value with the time. We are projecting 1.85. So yeah, the overall under trend is much stronger than the over, but that's because the minutes, right? He's been averaging even fewer minutes since the trade to Toronto, but unfortunately, there's a tragedy. RJ Barrett is out, and so I think Quickly is still on the injury list. He's probably going to play though. So Brown is pretty much going to have to play 34, 33 minutes. He's had 33 and 38 the last 2. So when he has 33 plus minutes, the over is 10-5. I don't know if there's any questions on this one. Valanciunas, I'm staying away. I see a question for forever. Don't know what's going on with that guy. Olynyk, you gotta like. He should benefit too from the lack of depth. We don't have value at points, rebounds, and assists, but we do have the same number. So we have 6.8 rebounds. So I wouldn't take the under.
What about his assist? What's his assist line at? The consensus odds because.
He's really 7-2, 8, 1, and 8. He's all over the map, right? What he's not gonna do is get the 5. he'll probably get 3 or 7, right? He's not gonna get 5.
That's why you got take a outline. I think it's probably a 4.5. So probably take the outline at 6.5 at plus 180 instead of 4.5, 5.5.
Getting fancy.
So I like that.
Yeah, for this Clippers game, Model likes the Clippers, maybe because New Orleans just was so disappointing at home against Cleveland the other night. But the Clippers are on a back-to-back, so I'm going to go with this guy's been burning me too. But I just thought at the time it was plus 200 available for over 1.5 blocks and steals. So he's had a real dip. This column to the far right here, these are the unders. So you see a lot of unders for, I think there was a 2 and 9 stretch for him. But you look at it, the start of that bad stretch is him coming off an injury. So maybe it impacted some of his defense, but also number of minutes he played. And then New Orleans was involved in a lot of blowouts, some where they were blowing other teams out, and then others where they got blown out. And so it all told created a reduced minute stretch for McCollum. So I'm thinking against the Clippers, that probably won't happen. And it's a little quirky, but guards that average 1.3 to 1.7 blocks and steals, they average nearly twice as many versus the Clippers when they're playing on their own home court, 1.1 versus 0.6.
That could be some home cooking. these. I know JJJ Memphis stat keeper love giving him some blocks if he barely took the ball. So maybe the stat keeper helps these teams out against the Clippers.
Hopefully. I don't know. McCollum has burned me the other day in assists, but I did hit a block prop a few weeks ago, so he's not
what
on
do we
the
have,
list.
Brandon Ingram?
Ingram? I think Ingram was he had a bad game the other night, didn't he? So we have almost exact same as the points, rebounds, assist line. He had this 7-point game the other day. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with some. I mean, I think the same thing with the McCollum's minutes. So with some of these blowout wins, some of the scares me when he had a stretch of 7, 10, and 9 field goal attempts.
He's so streaky if you look at his, but he's coming off a 20-point game, so could be another streak of some 20-point games. So I don't hate it. I don't love it.
Mm-hmm. Denver, San Antonio, high-profile game with Jokic and Wembanyama. So I think that's going to get everybody up. So I am going to go with Wemby over 36.5 points, rebounds, and assists. It was minus 110. Now it's minus 150. Or it might have been minus 105. So the number might be costing more. We don't have a ton of overall value because we actually don't have value on the over and the rebounds. But I think the model is currently under projecting his rebounds based on how well he's been a solid double-digit rebounder for the last month. And then, so I think that for us to have model value on the 36.5, despite not having value on the rebounds, I'll take it. If there's one thing that I could see us being wrong about is that number. So similar points, rebound, assist guys to Wembanyama are actually Sengun, Vucevic, and Karl-Anthony Towns, similar centers with similar numbers. They averaged 32 at Denver. That's only 3 games. The 4 games these 3 combined for versus Denver at home, they averaged 40. So hopefully that's another more home cooking. The last NBA game here, this one almost scares me a little bit because I'm not sure. I classified in my little table here as a wacky situation, because all the trends to me point to the Jazz covering 3, or if not winning outright. Now, I was a lot more confident earlier in the day when Jalen Johnson was considered out or doubtful. Now he's been upgraded to more questionable. But it's a legit questionable. So now both teams are down stars, Trae Young and Larry Markkinen. But Sadiq Bey is also off of the season, and he had his all-time best rebounding year this year. He was averaging 6.5 rebounds a game, and early in the year we had to adjust that number for him. So overall, Atlanta stinks on the road against the spread. They really stink against the spread with 1 day off. Exactly. Utah's great against the spread at home. And while they are only 6-9 with 2 days off against the spread, those 2 days have been good because it helps Walker Kessler get healthy. He came back with 17 minutes the other night, but he get him back to full strength. So as a result, we're projecting this big +6 rebounding edge for Utah, which mirrors what they've been doing for the season. And especially with no Bay and hopefully no Jalen Johnson for this pick. And then there's we're also projecting a huge 2-point differential. Atlanta's -5 percentage points on the road, and Utah's +4 percentage points at home, and that's Atlanta when they're healthy. He did nothing when he went to Atlanta, but John Collins is in a revenge spot, and he had 5 in his return to Atlanta early in the year. But he had a decent stretch. Last game aside, he was coming off a solid 5 or 6 game stretch.
What do we have Keontae George at?
We love because he had that big game yesterday. Last 2 games, he scored a ton. So the line has not adjusted. The line of points, rebounds, assists is still just 28.5, and we have 32, which is a pretty big difference in just 29 minutes. So without, he's been, what is he, basically the starting shooting guard?
Mm-hmm.
He's
playing a lot of point/shooting guard. He's playing just a lot of league guard too.
So, yeah.
Depending on the
day. Yeah, he's been getting plenty of shots. I mean, 17, 17, and 23 in his last 3 full games. That's a ton of field goal attempts.
And then Taylor Hendricks, he's on the S list. So
yeah, I didn't look at him. Nope.
So we have him projected right for his line is at 16.5. So nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool.
You want to pick us home with your
NBA, right? Yeah. I'll bring you home with college baseball. Just let me get the screen up. So the big thing, I just want to show the trends to start off, and the most interesting trend right now is that this is from last year, but Saturday unders have been the huge trend: 74 and 45, 37.8 on the unders, and last year the unders were just 86 and 98 on Saturday, so it was an over day at 53.3% on the over. So these books have really over adjusted the lines on some of these days. Was it is 13.9 is the average total for games this season, while last year was 13.1. So some of these books are just really over adjusting. We'll see if there's a little return to the mean, but as conference play goes on and some of these pitchers' arms wear out. But that's a really interesting early trend so far this season.
Yeah, we're going to think Saturday's the day. So Jake, if he's being friendly, nice, will tweet out if he notices books adjusting over underlines back down to previous years of like, if you see a lot more 12 and a halves than 14 and a halves.
Well, there's a lot more 10 and a half, 11 and a half now. Conference play started on Friday, but last week it kind of bounced back on Saturday. There's some big numbers. So that's something to pay attention to. Let's go through the games real quick. I have Texas Tech in the parlay. Let me pull up this pick sheet. Texas Tech and Oregon State parlayed together. And we don't have a ton of value on either side, but on Texas Tech or Oregon State, we don't have enough data on Utah to have a pick on them this year. But this is their first game with DraftKings odds. But I just like Dayton Baylor. They've had some good games. I just don't trust them this year. Houston BYU, I'm on the under 13. We have just 11.2 runs being scored in this game. What's interesting in this game that the books might not have caught is that Houston didn't start their number one pitcher, Jackson Jelkin, yesterday. That they went with more of a bullpen game, and they limited BYU to just 2 runs. This is another interesting one, Campbell versus Valpo. Every game that we have Valpo in our database, I think they've probably gotten killed because we have Campbell winning 98% of the time in this game. So, the games that we have Valpo in the last couple of years is against Notre Dame, Murray State, Dallas Baptist, and Alabama, and they've gotten killed in every one of those games. They've lost by at least 4 runs. And we like Campbell as a whole, especially at home. So I went with Campbell and the over 13.5 on Hard Rock at plus 160 in the same game parlay, which is a pretty cool feature that they have. Let's see what else I like today. I'm going against the model on this pick. It's one of the ones where I'm going against Florida. The Gators look really bad. Texas A&M's undefeated. I'm going with Texas A&M on the run line at plus money at plus 115 on Hard Rock. I think it's plus 115 on DraftKings too as well. Same value. If Texas A&M wins, I think they win big. If Texas A&M wins big, I get money. If they don't and Florida wins, I'm happy that my Gators won. So that's the logic I have to go with there. But most times I'll go with the model pick. Right now, sweating out San Diego, Michigan. San Diego just hit a big 2-run home run to go ahead 7-5. So up 7-5 in the bottom of the 8th. I tweeted that out earlier. That's looking good right now. And Boston College versus the Boston College game versus Pitt already went over 11.5. So nice. It's in the 6th inning. So we already hit that. Hopefully we go 2-0 before the show started. What other plays do I like? See, the Utah Oregon State game right here. We don't have enough data on Utah this season to have a play. I like West Virginia minus 166 versus Ohio State. I just think this West Virginia teams are much better than Ohio State. And they're at home. This slight value right here. The odds imply 62.4%. We have them winning this game at 64.6% of the time. So the slight value there. And then Vatech, Louisville, over 11.5. It's now 12.5 in pretty much every book. I still think there's plenty of value over 12.5. We have 14 runs being scored in this game. We just don't trust the pitching. If we look at the game logs for these teams, lots of overs. This is for Virginia Tech versus Notre Dame, 11-8, 10-5, 11-3. And that was their first ACC series of the season. And then Louisville also I guess this game got processed 3 times, but it's 12-7 versus Lipscomb, which isn't a great team. They're an okay mid-major team, but there's some big scoring games for Louisville the last couple of years. We just don't trust their pitching. So as long as it's 12.5, I like the over there. I probably wouldn't go to 13.5 because there's not a ton of value with us having 14, but I still like it at 12.5. Kansas, I liked it at -135. That line's now up to -150. We don't have any value there. At -150, we'd probably have this in the -140 range. But if you could get it at -135, there's some value there. This is the game that's going on Pitt, Boston College, over 11.5. We had it 13.2. That already hit, so that's a nice play. I think Pitt is winning, so that's not looking good for the Boston College upset pick, but I didn't give that out because I don't love it. So let's have a good college baseball day. We need a little bit of a bounce back after I went 0 for 6 the other day.
Can't happen again.
We're back. It can't happen again.
No.
And then we'll have March Madness brackets come out 6 p.m. on Sunday, which we're looking forward to. We'll tweet out Steven and I meet and we put the bracket in, and then we'll send out we'll have an upset bracket, which has our favorite 12 seed, 11 seed to make it through the first or second round. And then we'll have our chalk bracket, which is just the sim favorite and everyone. I'm looking forward to March Madness starting. It should be a good time. Should be craziness. I might have to go to Hard Rock. We should take a little inside the lines trip to the Hard Rock and maybe lose all our money.
Yeah.
But, and especially the $20 on the show that you lost yesterday. We have to make that back.
Yeah, I'll try to get a free drink. All right.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, guys, for tuning in.
All right. Good weekend.